And we are back with another Creative Moments interview, man. Super excited to get with this guy. I've been trying to work with him for a little bit. He's got a great story. We are here with Jacksonville football legend, played at Orange Park, 4-star coming out of high school, ended up playing at Florida, played at Boston College, played in the NFL. We have Mr. Ian Silberman with us today, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm glad to have you, man. I'm glad to have you, man. So, man, let's just get right into it. What was early life like for you?
Man, early life, I grew up in a military household. Both my parents were in the Navy, so moved around the country a little bit. Probably around 4th, 5th grade is when, we come over to here to Jacksonville. We were stationed here in the 90s, came back after New Orleans. But military, growing up that way, strict household, a lot of discipline. So some stuff that helped out a lot with football.
Gotcha. So having two military parents, was there ever a time where okay, they were both stationed somewhere else at one time, or was there ever a time like that they were both out?
So while they were both in, from what I can remember in my childhood, they were both, in the same place. We were always together. My dad retired a little bit earlier than my mom, so she lived in Atlanta for a little bit while she was stationed up there while we were living down here, because parents didn't want to settle down in Atlanta. They'd rather settle down in Jacksonville. At the time, I think Jacksonville was a little more safer. Not as much to do, so, not as much bad influences, we'd hope.
Gotcha. Okay. So, what got you playing the game, man? What made you say football is what I want to do?
Man, I tried to play it when I was younger in Pop Warner, but back in the day they had the rules with being overweight or the size differences, and they didn't let me move up in age. But I think that's one thing that kind of drove me, and really the biggest thing was I would watch a lot of ESPN classics. So you see all these old football players, talking about the game, and at first I loved to hear, what they had to say, but then, you watch the old school films and it's like you see the old school guys knocking each other's heads off. It just looked violent, fast, fun. It looked like something I definitely want to do.
Most def, man, most def. So I know you said your parents were in the military, but do you come from a family of athletes, or is it just you?
So my mom played basketball. She played back in the, in the 80s, before WNBA and all that stuff. She tells me she could have had, she had some scholarship opportunities, but for reasons we won't talk about, she said she didn't want to, end up going to those schools, but, she wanted to go see the world. She joined the military. But my dad played some football back in high school, but, he'll tell you himself he wasn't the best. It wasn't a great football atmosphere, so, guys were literally just doing it for fun, like nothing crazy, no real dreams or aspirations behind it, just playing ball with your boys. So, don't really come from, crazy athletics, but they did a little something back in the day.
Gotcha, okay. So, how were your high school years academically?
So I ain't gonna lie, academically, I wasn't the best student. And it's really just, I didn't apply myself. It's like, you gotta wake up over in Clay County, we had to be up at 7 o'clock. School started at 7:20. So you waking up early, dragging throughout the day and everything. So I didn't like it. I wasn't focused on it. I was just going to school to make it a football practice. So, yeah, it wasn't great. But, coaches came and talked to me, before my senior year. My coaches at Florida saw my GPA was a little low, gave me a little motivation to, bring those grades up. So brought them up my senior year, busting my tail. And went to summer school, did everything I needed to do, credit build up, whatever it's called. And I wound up graduating high school early, just because, before that senior year, I decided, to really take it serious so I can get to Florida early and go ahead and get my development going and trying to expedite this process the best that I could.
So do you think that if you would have got your academics on track a a little earlier, you would have had more recruiting coming your way earlier in your high school career?
Nah, honestly, cause like the way it worked back then, like man, it was such a different age. You know, it's like coaches, they weren't as concerned as they are nowadays with grades, because I feel like, you know, the academic standards have raised at all these institutions. So, man, like it was kind of a wild, wild west. Like they look at the film, they like it, then they offer, and even to the point where I had an offer from Yale. I think I graduated with the 2.8. Like there's no way I should have had an offer from Yale, but and they offered me when I was young too, so the GPA definitely wasn't that great. But you know, it was a different time. So do I wish I would have, you know, focused on school more? You know, had that motivation early? Absolutely. You know, because it helps with your focus. It helps, you know, just you become an overall better person. You know, because you learn how to focus on things that you don't want to focus on. And if I'd had that habit early, yeah, it'll probably, you know, change some things, helped out.
Most definitely, man. So, what was your workout regimen like in high school? I see you already a pretty big guy. You already had the size, but what was your workout regimen like?
Man, honestly, back then we'd lift once a day. So I'll take you in the summer where I gained 60 pounds. So
Wait, hold on. Hold on. What? Mm-hmm. You gained 60 pounds in a summer?
gained 60 pounds from sophomore to junior year.
How did you do that?
Man, so I'm fortunate that, you know, my parents, well, really my mom, you know, she's a big time cook. You know, she's from South Georgia. She ain't playing in the kitchen. Yeah. But, you know, she helped me out, you know, taught me how to cook some things, you know. So at that point, you know, I can't remember who it was, but somebody, you know, whether I heard a college interview or whatever it was, they were like, you know, guys that, you know, need to gain weight need to eat 5-6 meals a day. So I'm waking up early, eating a big meal for breakfast. You know, I'm eating chicken, steak, eggs, you know, potatoes, huge breakfast. Going to go get my workouts, you know, in the summer, go work out with my team. I was a sheltered kid, man, so I had to get back home. You know, playtime was only X amount of time, you know, hours in the day. Came back home, ate, huge meal, protein shake, went chilled out for a little bit, maybe took a nap, woke up, ate again, protein shake, go out, play some basketball, you know, hoop with the boys and whatnot, come back, eat, protein shake, big protein shake, you know, you had the peanut butter, the ice cream, and, you know, eat that before, you know, take that before you go to sleep. But honestly, the workout regimen, we didn't have as many hours, you know, like it wasn't as regulated back then as it was today. So you could be in the weight room for, you know, 2-3 hours back then. And we'd be in the weight room, no air conditioning, just big old sweat box, and you got it in. You know, you just went as hard as you could. You competed with the guys that were around you. You trying to be the top dog. You trying to be the one that cleans the most, squats the most, bench the most. So you just in there competing and really trying to kill yourself to be that guy to say, man, I bench 5 more pounds than that motherfucker over there, you know? Cool if I could.
Oh, no, it's very cool.
Okay, yeah, my bad.
Yeah. Like I always say, man, this is the Say Cheese TV for the athletes, man. So you can be as real and as honest as you want to be over here, man.
Oh, yeah.
Most definitely. So, I know you saying that y'all could be in the weight room 2-3 hours, being there in the hot box, no AC. Did that make you be the number one guy, or were you top 2, 3, top 4, 5 on the team, or were you that number one guy that was bench pressing and squat cleaning the most?
Nah, I ain't gonna lie, I wasn't the strongest. Like in high school, you know, we had guys that went to state for weightlifting all the time. You know, we had running backs that were cleaning 400 pounds plus. Like, it's wild to see some of the people, and you know, some of the younger guys that see this, they might think like, oh man, old heads always say that, but it's like, it's the truth, man. We had guys that you wouldn't imagine power cleaning 400 pounds, you know, squatting 500-600 pounds, probably not 600, but you know, 550 pounds in the weight room. Guys that are benching, you know, 375, 380 in high school. So it's like, I was up there in bench. I felt like I was up there in clean and jerks. I'm nowhere near the top. We got, you know, low body dudes that can just move weight like crazy. So I'll say for the most part I was up there, but some of the lifts I wasn't close. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like we had some guys, like we had dudes cross town that, you know, won state championships in weightlifting. So I like to think I was one of the stronger guys. I look like I was one of the strongest, but man, there's definitely a lot of guys around the area that way stronger than me, for sure.
So on the field in high school, was it all O-line for you, or did they move you O-line, D-line? What positions did you play?
Man, so I started off D-line on JV, had some good games, but, you know, my coach, Coach Ship back in the day over at Fleming Island, he saw the way I moved, and he's like, you know, obviously I can take offense to this now, but at the end of the day, he was right. He's like, I think you should play O-line. And that's every D lineman's worst dream, is to hearing that you should go play O-line.
Nah, facts.
So I'm like, man, I'm gonna quit. Like, fuck this. Like, because, you know, you just didn't want to hear it. And, you know, I clown the kids for it today, but it's like, you know, I tell them that, like, look, I was ready to quit when I heard those words. But at the end of the day, you know, my coach saw something in me that said, hey, you need to go play this side of the ball. And so, yeah, I really played on JV, and I played a little bit my senior year. And when I say a little bit, I mean a little bit. It was only like goal line situation, short yard stuff, you know, just somewhere you need a big body to go in there and, you know, just knock a couple people back. But, yeah, man, O-line's been my baby. I started off at tackle in high school, and then college I got moved to guard, did a little blocking tight end stuff. I go transfer up to Boston College. I get moved back out to tackle. I get drafted to San Fran. First thing my coach tells me when I show up is get tackle out your fucking head. And I look over, I see Alden Smith over there fucking up Joe Staley, and I'm like, man, fuck it, I don't want to play that shit. like you can have it, man. I want to be out there with that motherfucker. So I'm like, all right, cool. You know, I'm moving back to guard. My coach, he's like, look, you want to make the team? I'm like, yeah, no shit. He said, learn how to snap. I'm like, bro, I'm 6'5". Like, I only seen like 2 6'5" guys, and that's the Pouncey twins. So I'm like, fuck it, you know, got to make this team. The more you can do. So learn how to snap. Played mainly guard center in the NFL and XFL.
Gotcha, man. So let's take it back to high school a little bit, man. So when I was in high school, man, I was like, I was six, like I'm 6 foot now, but I might have been like 5'11", pushing 6 foot in high school trying to get recruited. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of hard when you play D-line trying to get recruited at that size. Mm-hmm. What is it like being the 6'5" guy on the D-line? Because I had like, it was a couple guys that was bigger than me that I started over that coaches was coming to see. Mm-hmm. So what is it like being that guy that the coaches are coming to see, man?
Man, so I ain't gonna lie, man. It's cool. You know, it was a cool, you know, ego stroke, and it was a cool measuring tool. You know, it's like, okay, you know I've put in so much work to, you know, get my body to this point, you know, get my body of work to this point. Obviously, you know, not being naive that, you know, I'm 6'5", but, you know, it's a cool feeling. You know, you see all these different D1 head coaches, position coaches, guys that you see on TV, guys that are legends, and they're coming to your school to, you know, come check you out. And it's cool, to be honest, you know, because like you said, you grow up and you see these guys on TV, but then you got your teammates coming to you like, oh man, that was Urban Meyer, that was Nick Saban, that was whoever, you know, coming to see you. And it's humbling, you know, because obviously, you know, seeing the reactions of your teammates, you know, damn well all of them would love for that coach to be coming out and looking at them, you know? So it's humbling in that way where it's like, yeah, it's awesome, but it's like, man, I can't be out here rubbing this in anybody's face or, you know, shitting on anybody, you know, because that coach isn't coming to see them. So it's cool because of, you know, like I said, you're able to see like, damn, I put in all this work and all these big time coaches want to, you know, come have me join their team. So it's definitely a, you know, dope feeling back in the day.
So what offers did you have other than Florida coming out of high school?
Man, like I said, I had everything ranging from, Florida, USC, everywhere, all the way to, like I said, Princeton. Like, I don't know how Princeton, they must have really messed up the records, but like I said, like I got all the SEC, ACC, Big Ten, Pac-12, like I had every offer except for Texas. And that's because at the time, Texas wasn't offering people outside of Texas unless you were, in their eyes, the absolute motherfucker. Like you had to be that clear-cut motherfucking dude, like outside of Texas for them to offer you. So, honestly, I feel like Texas was the only offer I didn't have.
I mean, Texas don't really need to go outside of Texas. You ever been to Texas, man?
Nah, and it made sense because when we were in high school, we're like, man, Texas football can't be that fucking good. And it's like, you get older and, obviously with social media blowing up around, the time where I was in college, you start to see like, okay, yeah, like they got some grown-ass men out there in Texas playing high school ball and it's super serious. So, you definitely understand it as you get older. Like, yeah, if all these kids, truly love whether it's the state of Texas or the University of Texas, it's like, hell yeah, you don't have to leave. So if we are gonna leave the state, it better be somebody worth our fucking while. So you get it. As you get older, for sure, it's like, it's smart. Because if you get all the top talent in Texas to come to Texas, it don't matter the year, you're probably gonna dominate, So it makes sense.
Yeah, bro, you gotta be superhuman to put the pads on out there, man. I used to work for the PGA Tour, man, and I was out there in Arlington, Texas, shooting a tournament, and that was man. What I don't wish Texas on nobody. It feel like hell out there, bro. Like when the sun clock in, it don't clock out till it get dark. It's hot all day. It's hot all day, man.
No, it's a fact.
So, what visits did you take for your I already know I must have hit some. What visits did you take?
Nah, man, I only took one. Like I took my visit to Florida and that's it.
Really?
Like I said, I had all these schools, but and I grew up an LSU fan. We lived in New Orleans when I was a kid. That was one of the places my parents were stationed. I loved it. I was a New Orleans fan, Saints fan, LSU fan, and I don't know. It's like the time when I was in high school, Florida was it. They're coming off of winning, the first championship in '06, and that was either my 8th grade or freshman year of high school. So they're hot at the time. Then they win again in '08, and that's when my recruiting started, picking up. And, you kind of get blinded by it. You get blinded by the success and, all the first-round picks are sending out of Florida, all the talent that's getting to the league. And, then you start talking to Urban Meyer and visiting Urban Meyer, you're seeing the environment, and it's like, the motherfucker's got a psychology degree. So it's like, he's 45 years old, knows all this shit about psychology. He sees 16 and 17-year-olds, and that's easy money for him, So, he knew how to, get in an athlete's brain and, what was ultimately gonna, make certain athletes, like bring out that competitive fire. So, it's just certain things that he would say during recruiting where a lot of people, like a lot of kids today, like if they had to deal with Urban Meyer, they'd get turned off so quick. They'd be like, man, fuck this motherfucker. I'm a 4 or 5-star dude and this motherfucker's challenging me saying that I don't have this, I don't have that. But, really he's just sitting there, just seeing how you respond, like seeing if, that competitive fire is gonna come through those eyes. And I feel like ultimately, amongst other things, like that's one thing that kind of drew me to Florida. It's like, okay, like I'm gonna go somewhere where I'm being pushed. Like all these different schools, they'll promise you like, oh, playing time. Even though I said I gained 60 pounds, I was only 250 my senior year. So where the fuck am I gonna play in the SEC at 250? And nowhere. Like you ain't even playing at fucking Vanderbilt. No disrespect to Vanderbilt, but like you're not playing anywhere in the SEC at 250. Even if I gain as much weight as I can that summer, I was sitting at 275. You ain't playing in the SEC at 275. So, these coaches are full of shit. I'm not gonna play at their school year one. I know I got to develop, and Urban and Adazio, you know, the O-line coach, they both, you know, shot it straight with me. They're like, look, you're skinny as fuck. There's no way you're going to gain the necessary weight to come in here and play. Like, even if you gain 300 pounds, you're not going to be as sturdy and, you know, as strong as we need you to be against, you know, these freak athletes out here. Excuse me. So yeah, you know, they shot it to me straight, and I, you know, you can do nothing but respect it. So yeah, that's ultimately why I chose Florida over all the other places. Like, I like Miami because my left tackle in high school signed with Miami the year before me. He was 09. But I didn't like the head coach. I didn't like Al Golden. He seemed like a fake motherfucker. And then you get around different guys at the league that played at the U, and you bring it up like, man, you know, how was it? How was Al Golden? And every single one of them, man, fuck that motherfucker. Like every single one of them. It doesn't matter if they black, white, Hispanic. Like, it don't matter. Like, every fucking buddy you talk to during that time is like, man, fuck that guy. So I feel like I dodged a little bit of a bullet, but I still wound up with Will Muschamp, so it all came back in the end, I guess. Deal was an asshole some way.
Hey, they say, man, you don't gotta be a good person when you're a coach. You just gotta win games.
Hey, and look, if you win games, hell yeah, like, that shit gets brushed under the rug. But the second you start losing, like both them coaches I mentioned, like, once they start losing shit, even Urban Meyer, once you start losing or it's not going the way, you know, the boosters and fans anticipated, you're gonna see like that person's just a real deal asshole, and he ain't even good at coaching for the most part. They just got lucky with some good talent. I'm not saying that's Urban, but that's just how, you know, how it goes with some coaches. So you right, man. It's like, and I tell kids all the time, man, it's like, at the end of the day, like, you know, most of these coaches are assholes, plain and simple. Like, there ain't no other way to cut it.
Most def, man. So, how did you end up playing in the Under Armour All-American game? What's it like playing in that game, bro?
Man, it's cool because you're on the team with, you know, the most talented guys in the country in your class, you know? You're playing, you know, on the same team as those guys, and you're playing against those guys. Like, I played against William Golston in that game for the most part. He might still be in the league, but even if not, you know, if he's not in the league now, he played 9 years in the NFL. You know, it's like, no matter, you know, what stats you look at, if you can get, you know, 4 years plus, or, you know, obviously the closer you get to 10, 12 years, man, like, you did something right. Like, you are some type of motherfucker on the field to play that long. So yeah, we had him, we had Dominic Easley, Sharif Floyd, or no, Sharif played in the other All-American game, but there's motherfuckers all over the field, you know? Like, we had this dude named Dorsey. I'm mad I can't remember his first name, but he was committed to Florida. This dude ran a 4.7 in high school, a 4.27 in high school. And people can call bullshit all they want to, but if you don't know shit about South Florida, you're gonna say bullshit. But if you know anything about them South Florida athletes, you won't be surprised. And it's like, he was flying. He beat everybody down there in the races. And I mean, every fucking buddy. It wasn't close. And there was like 8, 9 first-round picks that played in that game. So it's like, he beat every fucking buddy. And it wasn't close at all. But, you know, it was cool. I don't know how the selection process really went, but, you know, I'm just assuming they kind of went by, you know, the top-ranked guys in each position, you know, throughout the country. I was somewhere in the top 10, so, you know, I probably got the vote somehow down the line. But it was cool, man. We down in the Worldwide at Disney practicing. We staying in the Disney resorts and stuff. You mingling and, you know, connecting with all these different athletes from all around the country. You know, we got guys in there from Washington. Joe Montana's son was in the game, so he's from, you know, somewhere out there in, you know, the Northwest out there. So you got guys from New York, Philly, New Orleans. You know, you got all these different personalities and all these different personas out there. So it's cool to see, it's getting an early glimpse of college, because, the bigger school you go to, like we were talking about earlier, it's like you're getting all these guys from all around the country. So, it's real cool to see how everybody else moves and, how everybody else kind of views the world, based on their upcoming, their upbringing, where they're from. So, the Under Armour game, like, it's a dope ass experience, like for that reason and really what you experiencing down in Disney. So it was cool.
Did they do the little hat ceremony on TV for you, like how they do at the game?
Man, look, I'm an old lineman. Like it always makes me feel weird, like when old linemen do shit like that. It's like, man, like, are you just a big motherfucker posing to be an old lineman, or are you like really about this life? I feel like, for the most part, we're reserved dudes, like. But yeah, man, I wasn't in any of that shit. Like, especially back then when it was early, guys would just, talk a little bit and just, straight up pick the hat. All the theatrics and shit they do now, I'm like, man, I hate to say it about kids, but it's like, man, that shit's fucking corny, bro. Like, they sit there and take a hat, put it on, oh yeah, I'm going to Florida, then they fucking toss that shit off and take off a hoodie. It's like, just pick the fucking school and get on with it.
Hold on one second. Let me turn on this ice machine real quick.
I got you.
So, what does an SEC offensive lineman diet and workout plan look like?
Man, look, so a lot of people think I'm crazy, but I told you, I came into college at 250.
Yeah.
Everybody else in the room is minimum 290. Some of these guys are pushing 340, 350. So, you gotta, fit in weight-wise. So, me coming in so light, man, I got to eat whatever the fuck I wanted to. Like, I got to go in there and eat pizza, grits, eggs, like, French toast, pancakes, man. Like, coming in underweight, I could eat whatever the fuck I wanted to, as often as I wanted to. And it sucks because you hit a lot of plateaus. So it's like, you're just dealing with some of that shit. But, like, honestly, like I said, like that summer I gained 60 pounds. I'm just eating 4 or 5 times a day, just whatever's good in the cafeteria. Sometimes the cafeteria's got bullshit, and you just gotta stack up boxes of fucking, that cardboard pizza. But, it's, for a guy that has to gain weight, depending on how much you love food, I loved it. So, so it's like, man, like, I'm just in the school cafeteria all day, just swiping my flex bucks, in Florida, whatever it was. I'm just constantly fucking eating. If there's free shit around the stadium, if there's a protein shake, if there's a protein bar, whatever it is, like, it's mine, Like, I'm eating anytime I want, anything I want. If I wake up at midnight or, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning and I'm hungry, I'm gonna go fucking eat. Like, anytime food was around, I'm eating it. But to be a little more specific, like, I didn't really get serious about, like, my diet and, really truly understanding, like, what certain foods do for me and how it helps me produce, how it helps me, get better, how it helps me recover until you get to the league. Like, you have a base understanding of, depending on how much you listen to nutritionists in college, but until you get to the league and you understand, like, what truly investing in your body means, like, that's when you take that next step with your diet. So it's like, okay, I need to have these amount of greens on my plate. I need to have these amount of, carbs on my plate, this amount of protein. And, do I really need to go eat Burger King or fucking Wendy's and shit? Do I need to order pizza? Like, you just figure out what works for you and what keeps you in your weight range that is optimal for you. So, yeah, the college diet was way different from the pros because at that point you got money too. So, I don't just have to go through fast food. I don't have to just eat pizza. It's like I can get somebody, I can get somebody to come cater my meals. I can get somebody, drop off a meal prep thing for a week. So, it all changes, the more serious you get with, your craft and trying to maximize, everything that you do at that point. So that's when you start to really take it serious.
Most definitely, man. So, give me your craziest Urban Meyer story. Cause I know you got one, man. There's no way you don't got one being at Florida, man.
Man, I'm trying to think about what's even appropriate to share. Man, honestly, that's one that I really couldn't even think about. Cause it's like, there's something that's like, I can't tell it cause man, like, it just ain't my place to do. But with stuff that's happened with me, no, not really. Cause at the end of the day, so I'll just tell you this. I got the version of Urban Meyer that, they didn't get in the documentary, So it's like I got that during recruiting a little bit, but the Urban I got was checked out, ready to get the fuck out of Florida. Like I was too young, like a lot of us are too young and naive to even see the writing on the wall. Like he was quitting around Christmas time. Like saying his health issues, I'm not gonna be coaching this next season. And it's like, and I think me, it was just purely ego. It's like, it's Florida. Like, they're going to hire the best fucking coach available. They're probably going to, buy somebody out from another school and bring somebody on. Like, this is Florida. So I'm like, man, who gives a fuck? Like, I'm still going over there. They still got my O-line coach over there. I'm still going to Florida. But yeah, so it's like the version we got of Urban, man, it wasn't quite the same. He didn't have that fire, that intensity that, the guys would hear, that the older guys would tell us about, as incoming freshmen. So we got a watered down version of him, really a checked out version of him that didn't want to be there at fucking all. So we didn't have the best Urban Meyer experience. And it's like I got asked to do Swamp Kings, but because of that, I didn't want to speak about it. And I didn't want to be the face of the shitty fucking times at Florida. Because like when I came in was 2 years after the national championship. So, the record we had, during my time in Florida wasn't pretty. And I didn't want to be the face of, the downfall of, that fucking little dynasty they had. So, yeah, I didn't get the best version of Urban.
So you were there during the heart problems and switched to Ohio State era.
The heart problems, that he couldn't coach us, but he can go fucking be on ESPN for a whole year and travel every fucking weekend, get on planes and shit. But yeah, the terrible heart issues that he stepped away from that job to go make millions more with ESPN and probably be away from his family just as much, if not more. So at the end of the day, that was a bullshit move. Like, I feel like that's not a real coach. You got to deal with the ups and downs. And, like, you think it's pretty every year for Nick Saban. At the end of the day, like, we can see the talent that goes there. But if you haven't been around a big-time program and been around big-time players, you don't know the fucking ego that you're dealing with. So, like, that's what great coaches do. Like, they manage that shit. They get a team to become a fucking team. And it's like once he saw that his baby Tebow wasn't there, he just quivered up and he said, I couldn't do this shit. It's crazy. But, like that's kind of how, we view Urban, because of the way that he left us. So it's like, yeah, it's cool, thanks for bringing us in and, believing in us, but fuck you, because this motherfucker sold us a dream back before the transfer portal. Nowadays, your coach does that to you, next day, you could be in the portal, and a few days later, you could be at another SEC school. Back then, you had to go the Cam Newton route. You had to go to JUCO then and try to get back onto another, P5 program. So, my class, has a lot of a lot of feelings towards Urban just because of, how he left us and the bullshit that, he kind of, said on his way out. So, yeah.
So, is that what made you transfer out of Florida? It changing in that area, or was there something else that made you transfer out of Florida?
Nah, man, Will Muschamp came in and that motherfucker's a terrible coach. Like, no bullshit. Everybody wants to say, oh, he's great defensively. Since Muschamp's been in Florida, ever since Dan Quinn wasn't there, ever since Dan Quinn has left Will Muschamp, what the fuck has he been? A shitty head coach at South Carolina and riding his homeboy's coattails at Georgia. Like, that's all he does. Fuck Will Muschamp. So he, yeah, man, like, I left because of Muschamp. And, I'll give you a funny story. So, they looked at me as insurance. They didn't want to fuck with me until other guys got hurt. So once other guys got hurt and it was time for me to step up and play, now they want to, oh yeah, we believe in you. Yeah, bullshit. So, it's leading up to my last year. I started the last like 4 or 5 games, my fourth year, my redshirt junior year at Florida. But, I've been ready to leave, pretty much since Muschamp's first year. Because he signed on with one coach and then somebody else completely different philosophies, the way he goes about his business, like, just different. And he shit on my class and he shit on the 2009 class. But he shit on us and we were the only team that got him a good record. We went 12-1 and it was at least 80% of Urban's recruits playing. But somehow Urban left him shit, in his words. So, and then once Urban's players got out of there, that's when everything started to, go downhill. Like, but anyways, I go to Muschamp, because I want to transfer. At the time, I'm not sure where to, but I just want to transfer. I need to get the fuck out of there because, and like I told him, I said, man, I just don't feel like I feel like I can make it to the NFL, but I told Muschamp, I'm like, I don't believe you believe that I can make it to the NFL. So I don't want to leave my career in your hands when there's no belief on your end. Like, you've already tried to replace me 2-3 times and you just can't. But, so I'm not gonna, let you have a, voice in, what direction my career goes after this. But, he didn't like it. We had some words and, I had to tell him about himself and, just kind of the things that, I felt was going down, going wrong with the program and how he was, leading it. And he didn't like hearing that. And he's like, I guess you just don't want to be here. I've been here 20 minutes and you just not figuring out that I don't want to be here. Like, come on. So yeah, I left. I was originally going to go to Louisville. Charlie Strong dipped out and went to Texas last minute. And so me and my quarterback from Florida, Tyler Murphy, we decided, like, fuck it. We know Adazio, who was the head coach at Boston College at the time. Right, we know we're going to start up there. We know we're going to, get our opportunity that we need. And we both went up there and balled out. So, it was, the best decision I made because, you have to gamble on yourself sometimes, If I'd have just sat there and, listened to the bullshit spiel that the head coach gave all the other guys that wanted to transfer and half of their dumbasses wound up staying, they all got fucked up. Like, the coach somehow fucked up, their opportunities that senior year, and they're sitting there, just looking sad. I'm like, fuck that. I'm leaving, like, I can't let that happen. And it wound up happening for them, and it sucks because those guys had real talent, and opportunities, but they could have played in the XFL if it was around the USFL, but it wasn't. So, you know, it was either NFL or, you know, no disrespect to Canada, but, you know, take that hike all the way up to fucking Canada and go play CFL. But, yeah, man.
So, what changed from Florida to Boston College that made you all ACC?
Honestly, just an opportunity, you know, because so I started like 7 or 8 games my last 2 years at Florida. And in each of those games that I played in, I was a number 2 or number 1, you know, highest graded O-lineman, you know, according to the O-line coach. So was I getting in and fucking up? Absolutely not. It's like when I got in, I was handling business. But it's like, why do I always have to wait until somebody gets hurt or fucked up for me to get in? So at the end of the day, I felt like, you know, I was having good success at Florida when I got on the field. I just feel like now, you know, I'm in an opportunity to show it on a consistent basis, you know, having to go against, you know, the top guys in the ACC that were coming out that year. You know, I had to go against Vic Beasley a little bit, had to go against Sheldon Rankins, Grady Jarrett when he was at Clemson. Like, even though those last 2 guys were inside, it's like, based on how we play, they had to come outside sometimes. So, you know, playing against Leonard Williams. So that's 4 first-round picks right there. And, you know, I'm holding my own. Then you got to play against Florida State. I can't call his name right now. We were teammates for a little bit. Mario Edwards. Had to go against Mario Edwards. Dude was a 2nd-round pick. Felt like his head was made of fucking concrete. You know, so, you know, you got to go against motherfuckers year-round. And that's why I tell people, like, at the end of the day, I feel like there's more top-end talent in the SEC. Like, their premium talent is different from, you know, other conferences for the most part. But at the end of the day, you know, those guys that are right under that premium, they're really about the same in all these other conferences, like, or at least the SEC and ACC, because I ain't gonna lie to you, the Big Ten is soft as fuck. Like, we played Penn State in our bowl game, and these motherfuckers were allowing 80 yards rushing a game. I'm like, oh shit, they must be doing something. Then you watch the film, and you just see sorry O-line after sorry O-line after sorry O-line in the fucking Big Ten. Just big, stiff-ass, soft motherfuckers. So we go and play Penn State, and we have 92 rushing yards in the first quarter, but they let up 80 a game. Like, yeah, these motherfuckers are trash. So we ran for like 280 or 300 on them or some shit like that. But it's like, yeah, the ACC and the SEC, like, at least at that time, like, there wasn't a huge drop-off. Like, the best defense I faced, like, in college was Louisville that year when I was at BC. Like, they just had real deal 11 motherfuckers on the field at all times. Like, even the backups came in, tearing our guards the fuck up, you know? So they just had motherfuckers. So, you know, at that time, SEC and ACC defensively wasn't that far off. It's just SEC had better coaching and slightly better athletes.
Well, you know, they say them boys ain't really corn-fed outside of the Power 5. Like, once you go down to, like, let's say, like, CUSA and all, like, them O-linemen and D-linemen, they might be big, but they don't be that good. You know what I'm saying? As they would be in the SEC, ACC.
The difference is athleticism. Mm-hmm. So it's like you'll have, you know, it's like you'll see somebody at, you know, a G5 school that's 6'8", 360, but then it's like you see him move and it's like, okay, he moves like he's 360. But you'll see 6'8", 360 in the SEC, and you're like, God damn, like, that motherfucker's moving. Like, that bitch is clearing ground, you know? So, like, that's really the biggest thing, you know, is just the athleticism between O-linemen at those levels. Like, because they're going to be big everywhere, you know? Like school's going to keep on recruiting size, but it's that foot quickness, it's that violence in those feet, that overall violence and, you know, different level of strength that those P5 guys usually have over the G5 guys and, FCS guys. So it's not a huge difference, but once you kind of get around it and you play the different levels, you notice a fucking difference. Like, people can talk all the shit they want to. You could always tell when you're playing, and it's no offense to these schools because I got kids that go to these schools, but it's like you could tell when you play the Georgia Southerns, the small schools in Louisiana that, yeah, like there's some big, strong dudes out there, but it ain't got shit on what you're going against at Tennessee, Florida State, like Georgia. Like, it's a completely different fucking world. I don't care what nobody says.
Yeah, man. I went to BCU, Bethune-Cookman University, and I ended up taking over our athletics video program, and so we ended up playing Miami one day, and I'm out there shooting the game, and I'm just looking at the our O lineman versus they D lineman. So our O lineman might be like, okay, 6'2", 290. All they D linemen 6'5", 325. They like, I'm looking at them, I'm like, okay, all these motherfuckers bigger than me, and they bigger than the motherfuckers bigger than me. So I'm like, god damn.
And it's like, for the most part, like, they may not be like jacked in the arms and shit, but it's like these motherfuckers are big. Like it's not just big fat motherfuckers. Like,
Cock
these
strong.
That's what I'm saying. Like, these are some big corn-fed fucking prison workout motherfuckers. And my wife don't believe me, but I'm like, man, I done had some teammates and played against some dudes where it's like, they might be 320, 330 pounds, but I had teammates that were 330 with fucking abs. Like, and people don't believe it. Like, sometimes you can't see it under the jersey, but it's like, motherfucker takes the shirt off, like, that bitch is huge, and the motherfucker's got a damn 4-pack. It's like, how the fuck does this make sense, bro? Like, you 320. And the bitch is moving too, so it's crazy.
Running a cool 4'8".
Yeah, it's like how the fuck is this possible? Like I was watching Hard Knocks the other day with my wife, and it's like I'm still in awe when you see big motherfuckers moving the way they do. And it was Jefferson up there for the Jets, Quentin Jefferson. Yeah. No, Quentin Williams. My bad. Yeah, Quentin Williams. Yeah. That motherfucker 6'5", 300. He's he was me in my playing days, but this bitch is a D lineman getting off the ball and beating people off the ball and shit. It's like, no matter what, like, that shit's always gonna amaze me. Like, how the fuck are you so humongous, like so monstrous, but you moving like a linebacker, you moving like a fucking DB? It's freaks in this world, man, and most of them come from the ACC and SEC, honestly. Like, it's amazing to see. It really is.
You ever seen Trent Williams or Jason Peters pull? Mm-hmm. Oh my God! Like, you ever see? Like, man, I was watching some. I can't remember what I was watching on YouTube, but they were just talking about Trent Williams, and they showed him pulling around to go hit somebody. Mm-hmm. Man, he moved the other tackle on the 49ers.
Oh yeah.
He moved a linebacker. And he moved the D in all the way.
He fucked everything up.
I was like, God damn.
That man turned into a one-man wrecking crew for real.
What?
But so here's a funny thing about Trent Williams. I heard he's like the best teammate in the world. Like, for all of his old lineman teammates, he'll bring all these guys out to where he trains, and he'll pay for it, put them in hotels, pay for their food. Like, he'll cover everything. He's just, hey, whatever I need to help my teammates get better, that's what I'm gonna do. So for so many reasons, big shout out to, big respect to Trent Williams. But I was in Oakland, and I'm looking at the Jumbotron, because like they got everything up there. They got, stats from, earlier games, stats from games that are going now. It's just constantly updating. And then it scrolls through, and it goes from stats to top speeds of the day, because they track the players, and they shoulder pads, and they track their speeds and shit. This dude, Trent Williams, was number 3.
Hell no.
And get this, at 19.9 miles an hour. So can you imagine a motherfucker that's 340 pounds in full gear, the blacked out fucking visor, and this man's running 20 miles an hour at you? Yeah, it's like there's a lot of business decisions when that motherfucker's running full speed. It's like Like I'm, you know, in my best, you know, I'm 20, 30 pounds, you know, less than this dude. If I'm a DB and I, you know, even at that size, if I'm 15 yards away from him, like, you got to think like, man, do I really want to run up with this big bitch? Hell no. Like that's a lot of, that's a full-grown gorilla coming at you for real.
Facts, man. So, when did pro scouts start to reach out to you?
So man, you know, I didn't get a whole lot of love coming out of the draft. Like I played in an all-star game. It's called Medal of Honor up in South Carolina. And I didn't really hear anything until then, you know, and at that point you don't really know what's what until, you know, someone actually sits down and tries to have a real conversation with you. Because for the most part, you're filling out questionnaires, you know, they might have a special questionnaire that, you know, a certain team hands you and wants you to fill out, or, you know, they'll sit there and do like a quick 5-minute, you know, just filling out their own paperwork. So I didn't really get any love until it was like the day before the game, the All-Star game. You know, my agent, you know, told the people, you know, working the game that I wasn't going to play because, you know, I had a neck issue. And then the 49ers scout called me, and he called me after the game when they were watching film. He goes, hey, you know, we're watching practice and the games, and he's like, we don't see you at the game. Like, you know, was everything okay? Did you end up not playing? I told him the situation, and I feel like I got lucky because the more I started, you know, talking to scouts later on in the process, I realized that a lot of these scouts didn't do their homework and see that I played at Florida. They thought I was at BC and didn't play until my last year of college. So this is the only guy that really knew, you know, from my understanding, because he asked me on the phone, he goes, you know, is there anything else we should know about you? You know, and he's like, you know, he kind of went through a little list, and I'm like, man, I didn't hear you say, you know, anything about, you know, my time at Florida. He goes, you went to Florida? I said, yeah, 4 years, graduated. He goes, oh, we had no idea. He goes, you know, how long did you play? And, you know, I told him, you know, what games, you know, or like what to look for, like the last 4 games of the last 2 years. And then next thing you know, I feel like that's what got me fucking drafted, because my dumbass agent wasn't out here telling these fucking scouts and the NFL personnel, like, hey, he played games at Florida too. Because like, you know, obviously I did my thing at BC, you know, making all conference, but it's like if you'd have watched me down at Florida, you know, I'm playing against Sheldon Richardson and, you know, some other top guys who were, you know, top round picks. And I feel like, you know, like ultimately that's God, because like no other scout called and asked that. I feel like no other scout knew it, because even my, you know, first couple years in the league, when I'm, you know, getting cut and going to different teams, I'm kind of asking, you know, different scouts. And I'm like, yo, like, you know, you got the whole write-up on me, you know, just asking, like, did you know I played at Florida? Like, no, we didn't know. So, you know, just something that slipped through the cracks. And I feel like the one team that did see it, they were like, okay, well, we need to pick this guy up, because they obviously saw some good shit on that film.
So, walk me through draft day. Like, I know you didn't get picked up till the 3rd day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, walk me through the first 2 days and then that 3rd day and how it happened.
Man, so when you're going through the process, you know, you're gonna be looking online. You know, so I'm looking online and on Twitter and stuff, you know, just trying to look up my name and see, like, okay, you know, where do some of these, you know, websites project me to go? And I ain't gonna lie, I didn't see shit. I didn't see my name on any projection. Like, I didn't see it on any type of 6th round, 7th round, nothing. So I'm going in just like, okay, you know, I'm just gonna watch the draft and see what my boys, you know, end up getting picked and signed. And the funny thing is, I took a pre-draft visit to Dallas, and when I left there, I felt kind of nervous because I felt like I fucked up, you know, the coaching stuff on the board, and, you know, just, you know, to kind of test out where my knowledge is of, you know, O-line schematics and, just seeing what I could pick up and what I could process. And I feel like I kind of fucked it up. Like I felt there, feeling a little insecure. I'm like, damn, it's like, I felt like I knew football, but then I sat in that meeting. I'm like, holy shit, like the level of detail in the NFL is fucking crazy. Cause my head, like I left with my head spinning after that shit. So I'm like, man, Dallas definitely ain't picking me up. And then I'm sitting there, with my boy, watching the draft, and it's the third round, and I get a phone call, and it's from the Dallas area. So I pick up the phone, and it's the O-line coach for the Cowboys, and he goes, "Hey, Ian, just sitting here thinking about you, hoping that, everything's cool. We really enjoyed the visit. When he came out, we're really impressed with this and that." And then he's like, "Stay by your phone." I'm like, okay, I'm not thinking nothing of it. And then, on the bottom ticker, it's got like the 9 teams that are, next in the draft. It switches over and Dallas is the last name on the screen. I'm like, holy shit, I'm about to get drafted by the fucking Cowboys in the third round. So it's like, as the teams, just keep on going by and it's getting closer and closer to Dallas, like, I'm getting tight. I'm like, holy shit, I'm about to be a third round pick. I'm like, there's no fucking way. I'm like, I didn't see anything with my name on it. And, you see different guys, get drafted way higher than their projection. But I'm like, there's no way I'm going from 0 talks to being a third round pick, but I'm still getting nervous. And then they get there, it's Dallas's pick, and they end up picking my roommate from Florida, Chaz Green. And, at that time, it's like, I kind of felt like a sense of relief, like, holy shit, I'm not about to, freak the fuck out, but, I'm happy as shit because he drafted my boy and, his life just changed. So, I felt like just as excited as I would have been if it was me, I was just as excited, because it was my boy who also put in a tremendous amount of work. But kind of got off topic. But leading up to the draft, man, it's like that third day, like I said, I'm thinking nothing. I'm just, I'm getting texts in the morning from different GMs and personnel people because what they want to do before the late rounds is kind of put feelers out there for free agents. So they're sending different texts like, hey, we're thinking about, like, and they'll bullshit you. They're like, oh, we got these picks coming up in round 5, 6, and 7, and we're definitely considering you, around this range, blah, blah, blah. They're just telling you that to, butter it up for, when you become a free agent. Like, oh man, we were this close to drafting you. Bullshit. Like, they just want you as a free agent, So I had a whole bunch of teams hit me up with that. At first I got excited, then my agent called me, he's like, look, calm down, don't think nothing of it. And then out of nowhere, get a phone call from, Santa Clara area code, and it's the scout that called me, when I was, the 49er scout, when I was going through that All-Star game process. And then he said, look, I'm here with, the GM and the head coach at the time. And he's like, we're going to draft you. But then my phone cut out. Like, we're living in Green Cove and it's the boonies out there. So my phone just cuts out. I'm like, oh shit. So I go run outside. I'm trying to call the number back. It's going straight to voicemail. And we're playing phone tag for like 3 minutes. And I'm like, man, holy shit. Like, I'm about to not get drafted because I ain't got no fucking phone service. But they, we wound up getting on the phone, talking to the GM, head coach, O-line coach, and, I got drafted. And honestly, it was one of those moments where it's like, holy shit, it's one of the best moments of my life. And I just couldn't help it, man. I just, I really just kind of sat there quiet, just crying to myself because I'm like, fuck, like all the bullshit I had to go through in Florida, every bullshit situation, every, negative interaction I had with the coach or, somebody at Florida and just all the work that I put in. It's like I done had to fight through shoulder surgeries. I put in so much work, dealt with that adversity. And it's just like, man, like, it was for something, like it wasn't all for nothing. I just didn't go through that shit just to, just to say, oh, I played college football. It's like, fuck, like, I busted my ass and went through everything and, like, this is the moment, it's like, fuck, man, I got drafted. And I wasn't expecting it at all. So, it was a true, whirlwind of emotions, just everything going through. Cause like all that hit me at the same time. I'm like, man, like, I really made it through all these different situations. Like I never gave up on myself. Like I always told myself I'm gonna make it to the league and I did. So, it was a real emotional day. But, after you get those emotions out the way where you're like, you're grateful, all the gratitude, it's like, yeah, then that's when all the excitement hits and it's time to, go celebrate. But yeah, man, so, I went through it that day. It's like, the highs, the lows, being excited, yeah, man, it was a great day, great experience.
Awesome, man. I'm awesome, man. I'm sure that it was. So you get drafted, boom. What happens right after you get drafted? Like, what happens like within that next week? Like, are you like, all right, we booked you a flight, come out to the facility? Like, what happens right after that?
Yeah, it was like a week or two later. You're getting flown out there, and you sign some paperwork. You sign your contract, sign some stuff, and next thing you know, you're out there at rookie minicamp. So, it's a cool transition. You're still out there with first round picks and everything, and some of the older guys who aren't veteran status yet, but you go out there, you're getting adjusted to everything, but it's cool because I'm used to practicing down in Florida my whole life. Like every practice I've been to, high humidity, hot as hell. Then I'm out there in the Bay Area. It's cool as hell. There's a constant breeze. Like I was in Oakland and San Fran for about 3 years combined. I think I can honestly say there was 2 days over 90 degrees. Like, so I don't know, man, like everything just felt different. Like, the whole California weather, like it really does something to you because I just felt like, it was a cool experience, but I felt like, man, like I just took my foot off the pedal because I felt like, I'm like, fuck, man, I feel like I'm practicing in paradise at this point. I'm not down in 100+ degrees. I'm not down in, 100% humidity. Like, I'm like, fuck, I can breathe out here. Like, I don't need to work as hard, to be in that great of shape. So I feel like California kind of, softened me up a little bit and, softened up my mentality a little bit. But yeah, going back to it, it's like, man, you're practicing, you're getting adjusted to the NFL, how the coaches work, and, just, how the communication is different. They're truly treating you like a grown man at this point. Expect, putting the ball in your court. Like, okay, hey, here's what we're doing tomorrow, but you need to figure out how to prepare for it. We're not going to spoon feed you and, baby you on, what you need to do and how you need to figure out the little things. At this point, you're getting thrown to the wolves. It's like, hey, you're grown now. You got money now. Like, you got to figure this shit out. So it was a curve, but it's cool, man, because, I feel like, you kind of thrive in that responsibility role where it's like, damn, like, I'm not dependent on somebody else. I'm not dependent on this person, to get me to this point. Like, this shit is all on me now. So you got to talk to veterans. You got to talk to, other, old teammates that you had, from college that are vets in the league now. Like, okay, what do I need to do to properly adjust? Like, what do I need to do to put myself in this position? And at that point, you just figure out your own routine and mentality on what you need to do. So it was a cool transition going from college to the pros. It's just different challenges, because of different circumstances now.
All right, all right, you ready, man?
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. So, being drafted in the 6th round, let me cut this off. Boom. So, being drafted in the 6th round, right? What was your mindset going into that first count?
Man, I ain't gonna lie to you, it probably wasn't where it shouldn't have been, because like I said, I felt like, I kind of had the excuse of like taking it easy because I'm in California and it's like everything is at the pace that I want to be at. And, I feel like I didn't attack it the right way. I feel like if I'd have looked at it and, you know, been a little more aggressive, a little more assertive, you know, for what I wanted, you know, which was to start, I feel like I'd have got more out of it. But it came together like once camp started, because at the end of the day, you know, you compete. Because it just messed me up that we did so much non-padded stuff in the OTAs and mini camps and stuff. You know, like that's not something I ever excelled at. Like, because I just feel like it's not real. You know. But once we got in pads, you know, I balled out for my first 2 preseason games. You know, to the point where, you know, my coach brings me in before the 3rd one, where we have joint practice with the Broncos and go play them in a game. And you know, so by the time week 3 of preseason comes around, man, I'm confident as a motherfucker, you know, like when I played against Dallas, and I can't remember who the first team was. Maybe Houston was last. So I can't remember who we played in the first game. Second game we played Dallas. I had a great game. Like, I had a couple pancakes, all clean protection. You know, I'm riding real high at this point. Coach brings me in week 3. He's like, hey, you're gonna start. You know, you're gonna practice all week as a starter. And you know, you're gonna come to the game as a starter. But that year was the year that the Broncos were turning the fuck up on defense. And, you know, that was the defense of the decade that I was going against. You know, the years they went to the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, with Von Miller and all them boys. Von Miller, goddamn. Who are the corners there, man?
Oh, the corners.
I think
they had Aqib Talib.
Yeah, Aqib Talib, goddamn Chris Harris. Yeah.
I think they didn't have Hittner, but they had Danny Trevathan at linebacker. They had Malik Jackson, the one that signed with the Jaguars.
That boy was nice.
Yeah, it was his fucking contract year too. So if you know anything about that, that's a motherfucker's turn up.
Thanks.
Garrett Wolf was out there, big ass white boy. And I ain't gonna lie to you, like I said, like Jackson was turning the fuck up, right? So this is day 2 of practice. And by the end of day 2, I haven't gotten a hand on this motherfucker. Like, this motherfucker's doing whatever he wants to in practice. Against me, that motherfucker's able to do whatever the fuck he wanted. Like, whatever move he wanted to work, it was gonna work. Like, I couldn't get a hand on this motherfucker. And that shit literally brought my confidence down to 0. I'm like, man, I have never been schooled like this. Like, literally every time I put a hand up, boom, it's going down. Like, if I don't put my hand up fast enough, like, whatever it is, like, any little details that I missed out on, man, it got amplified like a motherfucker those couple of days, because he was just on top of every fucking thing. So fast forward to the game, you know, I'm the only rookie in the lineup, you know, starting lineup. And, man, my center was a hating ass motherfucker. Plain and simple. He was a bitch. We're playing Denver. And if you ever seen Denver, like, when they're actually fucking good, man, that stadium gets pretty fucking loud. Like, no bullshit. So we're going down, you know, we're in the first drive. And, you know, everything's dependent on the center quarterback's call, right? Quarterback's back there making calls loud as hell. I hear him just fine. Center, he makes a call. He's like, Ricky. I said, what? Son? So I have no idea what the fuck is going on half the game, because this motherfucker's over here whispering. Obviously, like I said, you know, I could have prepared better, understood what was going on, but between, you know, this being my first start, even though it's preseason, I'm seeing this motherfucker that just whooped my ass 2 days in a row in practice. It brought my confidence down to 0. And, you know, just being my first, like, you know, real, like, it's preseason, but it's my first, you know, real opportunity to play against some dudes. So, you know, kind of shit the bed a little bit, didn't have a good game, but, you know, I think some help would, you know, help ease my mind, you know, bring my confidence up a little bit more. But having 0 help from my center that game, like, not knowing what's going on, my head spinning, dealing with all this shit, yeah, it was real fucking ugly. I can't lie to you. So I got put out the starting lineup the next week. Like, yeah, it was bad. And, you know, at that point, like I said, my confidence is just steadily, you know, down on the fucking ground. Barely make the team. I only really make the team because another player, another O-lineman had a terrible game. He let up like 2 or 3 sacks in the last preseason game. And luckily I played, all right in that one, so I feel like if that guy didn't fuck up, my journey would have been a little bit different. But, just like with football, most people to make it to the league, there's a little bit of luck involved. And, that was a situation where there's some luck involved for sure. But the NFL's a different beast, man. It's like, you could have a bad couple reps in college and for the most part, you'll figure it out. You have a bad couple reps in the NFL, it's like, man, you got to be a mental fucking giant for real because that shit can eat at you if you don't, like if you're young and, like I said, if your confidence is down to 0 because you got your ass whooped that week. But yeah, it started off a little rough, but not the worst.
Gotcha, man. Well, I'm a little hoarse today. Gotcha, man. So now you mentioned your contract. Now we like the pocket watch over here at Creative Moments, man. Mm-hmm. So what did your rookie contract look like, and what did you spend your signing bonus on if you got one?
Man, so the contract, the signing bonus before taxes was like 121. So after taxes, it's like 69 grand. And then I think throughout that rookie year, it might have been like 420, something like that. But I'm in California, so
taxes.
13% of that shit going to the state, like federal. So they fuck you up pretty bad with them taxes. But at the end of the day, it's money that you don't look at and be like, oh, that's it. It's like, you happy as hell. Like the first time I'm ever making money in my life, my first check was 5 figures. So it's like, who the fuck am I to complain? I'm excited as shit. Like I got happier about the signing bonus and about being fucking drafted for a little bit, But yeah, then after that, man, it's a whole bunch of P squad, some active time, here and there. So, that rookie year was, the biggest money I saw. But, got close to it a couple years after that, a couple times. But yeah, man, I never saw that big payday.
So how many NFL teams did you play for, man?
All right, so let's go through it. I got drafted at San Fran, was there for a year, then got picked up on the Patriots P squad for about 3 weeks, got sent home for about a week, and then came back to the Patriots P squad, and then went to Oakland. I was on and off in Oakland for about 2-3 years. Made a stop in Indy, made a stop in Carolina, Cleveland, Tennessee, finished off in Arizona. So somewhere between 6 and 8 teams. But I think I've been cut. I'd have to really sit down and think about it, and it always messes me up. But I've been cut either 12 or 13 times.
13 times? So does it hurt being cut? Like, does it hurt more like the first time than it would the second or the third or the 13th? Or does it hurt depending on like how bad you want to be at that certain spot?
That definitely factors into it, how bad you want to be at a certain spot. But it really just depends on the, all the circumstances surrounding, that particular time you're getting cut. So it's like, the first cut hurt, from San Fran, because it's like, damn, like it's a team that drafted me, like you can't, like I said, like outside of the cost of living, you can't beat California. It's like the weather's dope out here, like all the stuff that you get to do in Cali, you can't beat it. Like you get fucking sunshine and it's not hot as hell, and you get that shit every fucking day. I dealt with one earthquake out there, so I'm like, I love Cali. I don't want to fucking leave, it didn't really hurt that bad when New England cut me because New England won. It wasn't fun. You know, like you know, like a lot of people say it wasn't fun. It really wasn't. Like when you're on the P squad, man, you want pins and needles in that motherfucker. Like, cause you just know it's like, oh, the Patriot way. Like you can get cut at any fucking time for any fucking thing. So it's like, you just constantly looking over your shoulder in New England, and their playbook was like fucking Chinese, man. Like that was the only playbook I've been in where I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like they got sentence long fucking play calls and shit. And I was young, you know, so it's like I've been in one, you know, easy playbook, you know, with San Fran at that point. So I go to New England, and they're, you know, at fucking trigonometry levels and shit. Like, it makes no sense. But, so yeah, like certain teams it didn't hurt. Like, it didn't hurt, you know, getting cut from, like when I was in Carolina. Carolina didn't hurt because I wanted to get the fuck out of there anyways. Like, it hurt how it went down. But it didn't hurt because it's like, fuck my O-line coach, fuck the offensive coordinator. Ron Rivera is cool, but every other decision maker in that building, fuck all of them, honestly. So, and Oakland hurt bad because that's a place where it's like, I love the organization. I fucked with most of the coaches, you know, in my time in Oakland for the most part. And then I just felt like Oakland was a place where, you know, if I was given the opportunity, I could have really, you know, shown what, you know, I've been working on and shown what, you know, I could have, you know, ultimately become. I could have, you know, got closer, you know, to hitting my ceiling than at any other place is what I felt. So Oakland hurt because, like I said, I'm back in Cali. I love the Bay. And I just felt like, man, like I just never got the opportunity I felt, you know, that I earned, and I felt like, you know, it could have been the one chance that I got. Because in the NFL, man, if you'll see guys that are playing, you know, X amount of years, and it's like you're sitting there on the couch and you're like, man, this motherfucker's ass. He probably is, but he got a chance early on in his career, and he did pretty good in the game, and, you know, that just carried him, and that experience, you know, from team to team, like, oh, boy, he started X amount of games, X amount of seasons. Now they can trust you, you know? So I feel like if I could have got my foot in that door in Oakland, I feel like things could have been different, but it didn't. You know, shit happens. It is what it is. But every time I got cut from Oakland, it fucking hurt. It really did, because I just felt like, man, like, I'm so fucking close. Like, just give me an opportunity. But yeah, some of the other teams, yeah, it didn't hurt that bad. Like, it hurts because it's like, yeah, there's an embarrassment factor, but then it's like, you know, it's like, hey, you know, it just wasn't meant to be. And you just know it. You get the feel of the coaches, you know, the front office people, and you just kind of get the understanding like, okay, maybe they don't really fuck with me like that. Maybe I don't even fuck with the city and, you know, where I'm living and, you know, this and that, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, for certain reasons, others do hurt more than, you know, other cuts, for sure.
So, did they let you keep all the jerseys that you had? Like, do you have like 7, 8 jerseys just sitting at the crib framed up?
Man, I got a whole bunch of jerseys. Some from a couple teammates too, but man, I can't even lie to you. Like, I got them all, but it's a bunch between college and the pros and stuff. My high school jersey, so it's like I got like 3 high school jerseys, All-American jersey. At my house, I got like 4 or 5 Florida jerseys. I got one at my old high school over at Fleming. And then, yeah, I got, man, I can't even tell you, probably like 7, 8 NFL jerseys at the crib. So, yeah, man, I got like 15 different jerseys, you know, from my football career. Like, that's like the only thing I got, you know, collectible-wise anyways, you know. It's like I didn't keep that much stuff because I always felt like it's going to be something else, you know? Like, I'm not worried about this one because there's going to be another one. There's going to be another this, another that. So, you know, I don't have as much memorabilia as I should from, you know, my playing days. But, yeah, I got my jerseys.
But that's dope as hell to have that many, man. Like,
oh, yeah.
Like, you know how, like, what's his name? Like, Luke McCown, he had like 13, 14 just framed up in his house. Yeah. But that's dope as hell, man.
Yeah, no, it's a badge of honor, man. You know, I don't take it lightly. Like, it's it's cool because, you know, like we were talking about earlier, man, it's like how many guys, you know, would love to have one.
Yeah.
You know, like even if it was just for the preseason, even if it's just a fucking practice jersey from, you know, from rookie minicamp, like, you know, how many guys would love to even just have that one little, you know, piece of memorabilia. And the fact that I've got that much, it's like, hell yeah, you know, it's like I can sit back and, you know, I'm fully content on what happened in, you know, my career, my life thus far. So, yeah, it's definitely a cool situation.
Yeah, shit, I want one. That's me right there on the wall.
Yes, sir. What's that? That's UC?
Nah, that's Paxson right down the street, man.
Paxson.
Yeah, I went to high school right over there, man.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got you.
So, what was your welcome to the NFL moment?
Man, honestly, it was probably, like I said, going up there to Denver, you know, just seeing Von Miller, Malik Jackson, DeMarcus Ware was on the team too, you know, and it's like, yeah, so it's like I see two for sure Hall of Famers on the outside. Luckily, I'm a guard and I ain't got to truly deal with neither one of these motherfuckers because Von he wasn't like young, but you know, he was like right as he was entering his prime, you know, so he was a motherfucker. Like he stoned me and Trent Brown on a double team. If you don't know who Trent Brown is, he's one of the biggest linemen in the NFL. This dude's 6'8". Shit, I'm gonna show love, Trent. I'm gonna guess Trent somewhere between 360 and 380. It's a big motherfucker, and I'm pushing like 305, 310 at the time. We go double team him. This motherfucker sits down and holds both of us down. So it's like, holy shit, you know, it's like you see Von Miller on TV, like he's all of, you know, 6'1", 6'2", probably like what, 260 maybe, but he just held 700 pounds, you know, right there like it's absolutely nothing. So, you know, you see shit like that. You see, you know, like I said, Malik Jackson. If you look up his stats, nobody's gonna say, oh my God, but, you know, because I think that last year in Denver, he had like 4, 6, or 8 sacks or something. But even somebody like that motherfucker was a fucking assassin with those hands. Like, literally, Mr. Miyagi put a hand up, that motherfucker swiping it, fucking. So yeah, just seeing like those big freakish motherfuckers like that, like yeah, that's probably it.
You gotta block somebody that strong and can run full speed under the table. You know they always say that about Von Miller.
Man, like it's so wild to see shit like that. Like him, and I had a teammate, you know, one of my boys, rest in peace, Naran Ball. Like there's just certain guys. It makes no sense how bendy they are. Like both of these guys, they'll bend around the corner and it's like their elbow is like fucking scraping the grass, and it's like, how the fuck am I supposed to get this low to block somebody this low and fast and strong? Like, it just makes no sense how certain motherfuckers in the NFL are able to move.
Facts, man. So, if you play, see, I'm not sure because I ain't never got that far up there, man. So, when you play in the NFL, right?
Mm-hmm.
How long do you have to play in order to get a pension? Do practice squad players get pensions if they play long enough, or is it just?
So it's weird how it works. I'm not sure how it works now with the new CBA and you know how they got more P squad guys per team. Cause you know back then it was like you know you get 10 P squad guys and that's it. Now you get 16 plus international. So I don't know how you know their pension is possibly, but from what I know it to be, you know, when I was in, you had to get 4 years. And it's like, yeah, like you got to get 4 years. And that's that first level of pension. But, so yeah, 4 years. And then it increases, like if you get the 10-year pension, like, you know, you swimming in money. But yeah, the 4 years like the minimum, I'm pretty sure. They might have moved it, but when I was playing, it was 4.
So do you get it if you're on the practice squad, or do you have to be active roster for 4 years?
I mean, so it really depends on how many games you get on active roster each year. Like, I can't remember what it is, but it's like you have to be on the on the active roster for X amount of games to receive it. So you could be P squad for X amount of time in the season, but if you get those 3, 6, 8 games, whatever it is, on the active roster, then that's when that's when you accrue those years going towards your pension. So it's like once your first year, once you reach that point, it's like boom, okay, I've not that you're looking at it this way, but it's like I've done enough, to earn my pension for the year. And then it's like, you just go through next year. It's like, so you don't have to be on the active roster all 17, 18 weeks. It's just X amount of time that you have to spend on the roster for that year to count towards your pension.
Okay, makes sense. So, being a practice squad player, like, what is your job at practice? Are y'all just like bodies at practice, or are y'all like picking up the field? Like, what are y'all doing?
Oh no, so like it's a big misconception. People think like practice squad players are, just like all around shitty players that have no chance of making it. When I've seen some guys go from P squad and sign multi-million-dollar contracts. Like if you look at Khalif Raymond for the Lions, me and him signed at Tennessee, like the same day, and it's like, obviously I bounced around, for a couple years after that, and then I was out the league. 2 years later, this motherfucker signing a pretty good deal, as a slot receiver, because he got an opportunity in Tennessee that year, and then Detroit picked him up. So yeah, he was on P Squad for like 2 years. 2 years later, he signed a big boy contract. So, but yeah, our responsibility is like, hey, like if you played any level of football, high school or college, it's a scout team. You're going up there, coaches are showing everybody a card. Here's what you do. And it's like, you're going out there and doing that shit to the best of your ability. Because if you just if you're an O lineman and you're just a swinging gate for, the defense, they ain't gonna fucking keep you around, So it's like, you got to go out there and you got to go compete with that starting D-line, that starting defense. Because at the end of the day, they're trying to develop you. Like, they're not just looking at it like, oh yeah, we just need a P squad body. It's like, nah, man, if we're gonna invest this money into somebody, we want to see if we can get this guy to develop at minimum into a starter. And if they see certain traits, certain qualities, it's like, hey, if we can get this freak athlete who's, and I hate to say it this way, but not very good at football yet, if we can get him to understand how to be good at his position, then fuck, like, the return could be great, So they're not just looking for slapdicks and, holdovers on P Squad. Like, they're looking for guys who have a real chance to go become starters one day and really, help and impact the team. So, yeah, man, you got a duty. Like, and at the end of the day, you're trying to get the starters right. Because like I said, if you're just letting the defense win, they're about to be going against starters on Sunday. Like, they're not going against somebody who's just gonna give bullshit effort and just, let you win a rep. So you got to go out there and get these motherfuckers prepared to go. And at the end of the day, sometimes you're going against potential fucking Hall of Famers. You don't know if they're gonna chill in practice, or you don't know if there's somebody who is gonna turn up for 50 fucking reps and give you a game day, environment 3-4 times a fucking week, So it just depends on the teams, who you're going against, but sometimes being on P Squad is on the easier side. Sometimes if you got a great D-line that's on your team, sometimes being on P Squad could be fucking hell because it's like shit, like, I had to, like in practice, with those teams I've been on, I done had to practice against Khalil Mack, Chandler Jones, and then the thing that fucked me up the most, like one of the only times I've been starstruck with a teammate was when I was in Carolina. I'm lining up my first rep at P Squad tackle. Julius Peppers is right there. And I'm like, man, holy shit, I've been watching this motherfucker ball since I was a kid. And kids don't understand it because, that wasn't their era. But man, Julius Peppers he was like the first freak, like that was a motherfucker.
Yeah, he changed the defensive end game. Everybody wanted the Julius Peppers after he came out.
Holy shit, man.
Yeah.
Like, this dude is 6'6", at that point in his career, like, you know, I was like the last year, he was like 300. So he wasn't quite moving, you know, like, you know, we're used to seeing Julius Peppers move. But at the end of the day, that's still Julius fucking Peppers. So that bitch is still moving. And at that point, he's older, he's smarter, he's got that grown ass man strength. So it's like that motherfucker puts his hands on you. It's like, God damn, bro, like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? But, you know, people could think it's easy all you want to, but those guys don't get to Sunday, you know, just by skating through, you know, Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday. Like, these are motherfuckers that are preparing and working on their fucking craft and their skills and putting themselves in game-like scenarios. So it's like, you can think practice squad is sweet all you want to. You go out there bullshitting. Like, good luck to the average Joe trying to play against Khalil Mack in his prime. Chandler Jones, like, get the fuck out of here. Like, that is some tough shit. I don't give a fuck what nobody says. And for the most part, you know, like, you have some cocky dudes that are like, oh yeah, fuck P squad guys, whatever. But it's like, the veterans that know, it's like, man, them motherfuckers, like, they're like, look, y'all job is tough because y'all got to block us multiple days a week. Them guys on Sunday, like, they get us, you know, 50, 60 opportunities. You get 200 a week, you know? So, yeah, man, you catching some serious work in practice. I don't give a fuck who you are. You catching real deal work.
Yeah, that's wild, man. I would have been starstruck too, man. Cause when Julius Peppers came out, what it was, I think he was jacking like what, 02, man. I was like 4. So
And then you see this big motherfucker, one-hand interceptions and shit, running down, fucking stiff-arming people. He was a basketball player. It's like, bro, this is one of the most physically gifted motherfuckers you could ever come across. And shit, 130 sacks later or some shit. Like you can't take that lightly. Like, there's motherfuckers that played football for half their life and don't have 120 sacks in their whole entire career, from high school to the pros. This motherfucker did all that shit in the pros, like, crazy.
yeah, man, that's wild. To go from watching somebody on TV idolizing, now you gotta line up right across from him.
Oh yeah,
and you know he about to put his hands on you.
No, yeah, it's like, God damn, bro. Like, yeah, I wanted to be in the NFL, but it's like, bro, I didn't want to play against a motherfucker like you, bro. Like, God damn. Like, yo, ass ain't retired.
Nah. So, what was the biggest moment in your pro ball career? What was your biggest moment, man?
Man, all right, so biggest moment, like, in what way? Where it's like where I felt validated, or I felt, you know, like what way you mean, like?
I would say, let's say where you felt validated, and like, let's say your biggest moment on the field, like you pancake somebody you ain't think you was gonna get. You know?
Oh, okay. All right, so when I was at Boston College, we played USC, and USC had Leonard Williams, and Leonard Williams wound up being the number 6 pick in the draft. USC was a top-ranked team. I think they were like 9 or 12 in the country at the time. And, you know, we're at Boston College, you know, middle of the pack at best, ACC school. You know, 2 new transfers on offense. We got, you know, a couple transfers on defense, you know, all grad transfers. So, man, Ryan Day was my offensive coordinator at Boston College, you know, Ohio State's head coach. They put together a hell of a game plan on offense. I just so happened to be matched up with Leonard Williams. And I had a hell of a day, man. Like, no sacks, no pressures. Had some really good blocks in that big bitch. I mean, he was a motherfucker, obviously, sick, you know, top, you know, number 6 pick in the draft, you know. Obviously, you're not just getting there by looking like a motherfucker. You get there by being a motherfucker. So that was a fucking battle. We wound up running these motherfuckers out the stadium. I think we ran for like 350. Quarterback ran for like 200 yards. But yeah, that moment, man, it's like, you know, because like I said, you know, when I was at Florida, I went against some pretty good motherfuckers. And at this point, this is like week 3 of my senior season. So this is like, you know, my first real test at this point. And And yeah, I definitely had a great game against him and, the rest of his teammates. One of the best games of my career, probably. But yeah, that was probably that moment where I was like, personally, selfishly, I'm like, holy shit, I just blocked this guy who's supposed to, like the whole game, me versus him, and I feel like I'm more than held my own. So I'm like, okay, hopefully this, gets your boy some money. And then on top of it, we won. We beat one of the most recognizable, brands in college football history, even though obviously we're very well aware that this ain't the motherfucking USC that we grew up watching. So, but yeah, either way, when you're an unranked team beating a highly ranked team that's expected to come in and just whoop your ass, it's a hell of a feeling. Everybody, the crowd rushed the field and everything. So, to see like, have all those feelings of, you and your boys just did that, and then everybody's coming to, support, and, everybody's going crazy. It's one of those feelings like, like this is dope. Like this is what, you kind of expect with college football. Like you expect big games and big shit to happen. So, like I feel like that was one of the bigger moments, for sure.
So, what made you hang the cleats up, man? What made you finally say, man, I'm done with this?
Man, so 2019 was like a rough year for me. We still don't really know what happened, but something happened where I lost like all this weight coming into training camp with the Panthers. Lost like 20 pounds in 3 days, and then they wound up cutting me for that. It's called a non-football injury. If they can't determine that you did that, had an injury within football or whatever happened to you is because of football under their watch, they can cut you for any reason. So I got cut, and the doctors, nobody knows what's going on with me. So I go to Indy, I'm down, and eventually I get cut because, the problem just keeps on lingering. And then most of that year, I'm a free agent. So it's like, that's 2019, and, I decided to go back to Fleming and, just volunteer coaching. And, I'm volunteering. November comes around, I get a call from Arizona to come out in their P squad, go out there and do that for a couple weeks. But, in that time where I was gone, I'm like, man, like, this coaching shit is not bad, Like, being around the kids is cool, you get like an energy boost being around, the young guys. But, it's cool because it's like, okay, now I'm a part of the game plan, and I'm on the other side of this football shit, and I'm seeing what it looks like, and I'm like, it's not that bad, fast forward, I get picked up by the XFL, and, I'm in a leadership position over there, and, because like with all the old linemen, I've got the most NFL experience, and, I'm like one of the few like vested vets on my team. So there's like a few of us, and, we kind of, had like a little leadership group, and I feel like, I kind of grew as a leader, found my voice a little bit more as a leader. And essentially, the coach we had, he was a great dude, but he wasn't a good football coach. And so essentially I had to step in and essentially become his fucking assistant and, help make calls and, how we communicate, like just show up different things on, the coaching side of it pretty much. So I'm like, man, I'm like, if this motherfucker could do this shit and he don't know a goddamn thing, I'm like, I could eat in this fucking coaching world. And, from there, I get into coaching, or no, my bad. So XFL, everything's going good. We're one of the better teams in the XFL, and we're getting ready to play the number one team, Houston. They had a great quarterback, great offense, like super exciting team. They were dominating everybody. And then it's like, I think it was like 2 days before the game, that's when COVID like officially hit. So, and it was kind of crazy because once COVID officially hit, I'm not sure if you talked to TP about this, But man, like at least us up in New York, like once they said, COVID hit and it's, shutting certain things down, next thing you know, we see coaches packing out, leaving with big ass bags and shit. And then the head coach finally, just like sent everybody like a mass text, like, hey, the XFL's over. Like, y'all, pack up y'all shit, we gotta go. Like, he didn't say it like, mean or nothing, but he's like, y'all get y'all shit ready. And, we'll figure out, how to get everybody home and shit. So it stopped real fucking quick. Like, we're practicing game plan and shit. We're like literally in meetings. Next thing you know, you just see coaches just, all right, guys, go ahead and, we got a team meeting, get up out of here. Like, in a matter of like 30 minutes, like we heard a rumor, then it was official, time to go home. So at that point, I'm like, man, do I feel like still going through my regimen of, getting in shape, eating right, and, doing all this to go back to the NFL to potentially just be a camp body? I'm like, man, I'm vested at this point. I don't want to go back to camp. And, like I said, I've been cut 12, 13 times. So it's like, I done heard like the real reasons and I done heard a lot of bullshit. So it's like, do I want to go through all this, get myself built up the way I need to, build myself up just to go through all this and to hear some more bullshit? I'm like, nah, I'm good. Like I said, I was totally content with my career. And I feel like, before the XFL, I never had a plan B. Like a lot of people can say it, but it's like, I never did. I didn't have a plan B. Like I was singularly focused on making it to the NFL and playing as long as I could. And then with the XFL, I was in that coaching leadership role, and I'm like, man, this shit ain't too fucking bad. Like, let me see what coaching's about. And then I got into coaching, got into training, and I've been killing both ever since. Like, I'm not coaching this year, but it's more on personal reasons, I guess we could say. But coaching, consulting, doing stuff like that, I just saw an avenue with that, and I'm like, man, I could do some good things in this world. Like, I feel like I can really coach, and it's paid off because the one group that I coach, for 2 years over at Fleming, 4 of the kids got scholarships, and 3 of them are going, G5 or P5. And then my center, if my center was about 6'2", 6'3", that motherfucker would have got a scholarship too, because he was all state. So, it's like the coaching shit paid off because, obviously of what it's producing for the kids, but, I just know that there's an impact being made on these kids, whether they get scholarships or not. I feel like I've got, a message to, spread to the youth and, something to help them out, whether it's with football or whether it's, with situations that come up in real life, So, yeah, man, I feel like once I kind of got into that world at the end of it, I'm like, man, like this is something I really see myself doing and being successful at. And yeah, like I wasn't looking at it, initially to like, make an impact on the kids. I thought I was just going to be somebody who just pops in and out, gives, some 2 cents and gets out of there. But once you're around the kids, it's like, how could I not give you advice? Like how could I not, observe something and, just help you like, okay, I see this and I see that you could be better here. How could I not try to offer that advice and help a kid, get through a situation or, get to a point where maybe they didn't believe they could get to, So you just fall in love with all aspects of the shit. And honestly, like with what I know and what I've learned, it's like, it's so fucking easy. Like it's literally one of the easiest things I've done in my life because I just get to talk about, my experience or relate my experience to so many situations. So, yeah, man.
What was the hardest thing you had to overcome in your football career?
So when I was at Florida, when the second head coach came in, he brought an offensive line coach who I'll just say wasn't very fond of me. You know, I started off like he was wanting to move me from tackle to guard, and I started killing it early. Wound up being a starter in spring and throughout the summer. And then over the summer, he brought one of his guys in from Notre Dame as a grad transfer. And the second I fucked up in camp, I'm out of there, he's in there. So dealing with, you know, the adversity of, you know, dealing with favoritism, dealing with, you know, stuff like that, but still trying to find a way to not be a selfish asshole. And, you know, it's like, okay, like, I want to fucking play, but I'm going to try to do this the right way. So, you know, dealing with the lack of playing time, the lack of trust within coaches, but still trying to find a way to interact with them and be like, you know, without kissing ass, because you got me fucked up. Like you said, like, we ain't kissing no ass, you know? So trying to go to them and be like, all right, coach, give me 3 things that you want me to work on this week, and I'm going to bust my ass to do them, and, you know, I will come in next week and, you know, hopefully you can give me like a little update or a progress report. I did that shit for a fucking year, and it got me absolutely fucking nowhere, like trying to do this shit the right way. So it's like the hardest thing was trying to balance of, you know, doing things the right way, but still showing that like you're passionate about what you do and that you're really trying to take this serious. It's like I'm doing everything I can to fucking ask for help, you know, in the most positive way I can think of, without just flipping out like a lot of my teammates did and just going fucking crazy on coaches. And, you know, because like I said, military, I wasn't raised like that. My mom's from South Georgia. My mom will knock me the fuck out. You know, like if I'm out here disrespecting adults, like my mom is 6'1", man. My mom will come down to campus and whoop my ass. So, you know, respect always had to be at the top. So just trying to find that respectful avenue of how the fuck can, you know, I get to where I need to be without being disrespectful. Like, y'all tell me so I don't have to come in here and flip over fucking tables and go fucking crazy. Like, y'all help me stay sane by telling me what the fuck I need to do to get on the field, you know? So I was like, that was the biggest challenge of going through, you know, those mental hurdles, mental hula hoops and shit on trying to get what I wanted, you know, without acting out of character. In a situation where I'm getting fucked over and it's very clear, you know? So trying to find that balance of staying fucking sane, honestly.
Gotcha. Okay, so do you think NIL deals help or hurt the college football landscape?
I think they do both. I think it can hurt, you know, depending on the dollar amounts. And I think one of the things that hurts the kids is, you know, how many of these deals are like falling through. You know, from what I see online and stuff, you see different deals where, you know, something fell through, or, you know, what was in a contract wasn't actually real. So I don't like that because it takes away the focus from the kids' responsibilities. Like, I love the NIL. I absolutely 100% love that kids are getting paid. I really do. I'm not going to be one of these old guys that hates on them. At the end of the day, it's like, hey, you have a small window in this life to maximize your name, image, and likeliness, you know? So whether that's in college through the actual NIL, whether that's the pros in your contract, whether that's, you know, you're in one of those 2 positions and you have a chance to be on TV, to go, you know, sign some deal to be in commercials and shit, like, go maximize it, you know, 100%. And I'm never gonna hate on the kids for making the money that they make. So I love it. I just wish it was more controlled and it was kind of more slotted, you know, kind of like the NFL. It's like, okay, you're not just gonna make $13 million over here. Like, I feel like some of the things are a little bit ridiculous. I don't feel like any kid, unless you're a transcendent athlete like, you know, a Cam, Lamar Jackson, you know, like, unless you're like one of these guys who is like absolutely fucking phenomenal on the field and you are a true difference maker, I feel like you shouldn't be getting paid more than any coach that's on the actual staff. Because I think that's ridiculous that, you know, if you're a grown man, you know, 30, 40 plus years old, and, you know, busted your ass to get to a point where you're making 250 for a 17-year-old to come in and make 500, it's like, man, that's fucking crazy, you know? Like, I feel like it feeds into a lot of egos. But once again, I'm not hating on it. Like, go maximize your fucking money. But I just wish it was more controlled. So, you know, the kids had more focus on what the focus needs to be on, which is grinding your fucking nuts off to get better, to develop. If you need to gain weight, grind and gain that weight. If you need to lose weight, grind to lose that weight. If you need to hone in on more football stuff, like, have that time to hone in, because the thing that I'd appreciate from when we weren't getting paid was, man, you knew at the end of the day, like, you know, all the times that you busted your ass, like, if you do it the right way as often as possible and as consistent as possible, there's a big fucking payday waiting at the end, you know? And it's like, that kind of, holding that over your head is like, I feel like, you know, it brought a different type of hunger, you know? It's like, fuck, man, I'm sitting here, I gotta call mom for $20 for a fucking pizza, you know? Like, those times suck, but it's like, you know, every time that shit happen, it's like, man, I can't fucking wait so I don't have to call anybody so I can get some fucking food, so I can get some fucking gas, so I can, you know, buy something for the crib, whatever it is. Like, I don't want to have to call nobody no more. Like, I want to be able to make it to the league and get this big boy bread so I can buy what the fuck I want and not have to ask anybody shit. But, you know, it's just interesting to see the dynamic on how it changes, you know, because if you're 17 years old and you got, let's say, even 100K in the bank, how much are you really wanting to get down and go bust your ass and go get dirty in that stadium during conditioning? How much do you really want to get under that fucking bar and cleans at 6 o'clock in the fucking morning when you got 100 bands in your account? How bad are you really gonna fucking want it at that young of an age? So, and all the fucking kudos to the guys that are in those situations that grind like they ain't got fucking nothing. Cause that's some hard shit to do, especially at 17, 19, you know, 21 years old. Like, so kudos to you if you got that mentality, but I can only imagine how hard it would fucking be. I couldn't imagine having 100 bands in college. I couldn't imagine having fucking 2. I couldn't imagine having 1. Like, God, I think the most money I ever had at one time, you know, after paying rent was like $400. And at that point, you know how it is, man. You feel like you got the world in your hands. $400 at the time. It's like, man, I can go buy this. I can get some good food today. You know, like I ain't gotta eat Subway and bullshit. I can go get some top-notch shit. I can go sit down and eat. You know, like I can go in a restaurant. But it's like, that's just how we felt with, you know, a couple $100 in the pocket. You know, but. So if I had 100K, it's like, bitch, we going to Ruth Chris tonight. Every night, you know, like fuck it, we going to Orlando, we going to Tampa, like we living life. So kudos to the kids that can do it. And, you know, like I said, every kid out there, the goal shouldn't be to maximize your dollars in college, but if you have an opportunity to, yeah, by all means, you know, take advantage of it. I wish they had capped it off at kids making like 40, 50 bands a year. And whatever you make on top of it, you get it when you graduate. You get it when your eligibility's up. Because that's when you're going to want it the most. Everybody wants to stunt in college and, you know, be that guy. But it's like, we done seen all them guys that, you know, they had it in college, they had it at a young age. And then, you know, when it's time to move on to the real world, they ain't got shit. And now, you know, everything's changed about them because they down at ground zero. So now imagine you get those kids, you know, that don't make it to the league, but they signed a $400,000 NIL deal. Now that they graduated, they got 300 coming their way. So now they got money for an apartment, a house, clothes, you know, everything they need to do to prepare themselves for whatever job they're getting into. And now they don't feel that need to, oh man, I gotta move in with mom. I gotta move in with my boy. I gotta struggle. Like, at that point you made the money. Ultimate dream didn't happen in the NFL. At least you got a great cushion to fall back on to jumpstart your life, you know? So I love the NIL. I just wish there were some minor changes.
if you could do, if you could say anything to 16, 17, 18-year-old Ian, what would it be?
Man, like that's a tough question for me because honestly, like I'm somebody who can honestly say like I'm fully content with my career and I really had no regrets. You know, like I said, the situation at Florida where, you know, I had to maneuver that, you know, jump through all those mental hurdles and everything. It's like, do it the same way over again. You know, it's like all those hard times, like I don't know what I tell myself, man, because I feel like, you know, not that I handled every situation perfect, but you know how it is, man. It's like you go through a situation, if you didn't handle it the proper way, and as long as nobody got hurt from it, it's like you just learn from it, you know? So I feel like, you know, hey, just try to learn as much as you can from every situation. Try to assess everything properly, you know. Try not to overreact quite as much maybe. And, you know, at the end of the day, take a lot of this shit personal because you hear it all the time from like, you know, all these great athletes, like they took so much shit personal. Somebody didn't recognize their game or they put somebody else above them in a ranking. Yeah, you take that shit personal. It's like, fuck you and fuck that dude. Like, fuck all y'all, you know? Like, it's okay to have a little bit of fuck you in the heart, you know? So, yeah, man, I'm sorry I ain't got no real answer for that one, but I feel like you know, I'm somebody who legit has no regrets over, you know, my career, you know, how anything went down. You know, I feel like I handled everything for the most part the best I could. And if I didn't handle it like a pro or like an adult and I gave you a fuck you or gave you some attitude, fuck you, you probably deserved it, you know? So it's like, yeah, like, you know, I can walk around and say I've never been anybody's bitch. I never brown nosed anybody. I never kissed anybody's ass. And I still got to a point where I feel like it's very respectable. So that's me, man. Like, and if you didn't like it, probably didn't like you either, and fuck you, eat a dick. Like, like it's fine. You know, like my journey's not for everybody. You know, my personality, you know, the way I attack and do things, it ain't for everybody. And, you know, be comfortable with that. Be cool with that. You know, as long as you're open to, you know, adapting and changing certain things, it's like, who gives a fuck what anybody got to say? Like, do it your way, but do it in a way that's, you know, digestible, you know, for the people that you care about. So, yeah, man.
That's perfect, man. And my very last thing, is there anything you want to promote or get off your chest before we finish up?
Man, look, if you in Jacksonville and you got a friend with big kids or you are, you know, a parent that has, you know, big kids like O-linemen, man, send them my way. And, you know, yeah, it's a business promo, but at the end of the day, you know, you could talk to any of the parents of the kids that I work with, man, you will be hard pressed to find anybody who hasn't come back for at least 5 sessions. Everybody loves the work. Everybody loves the way, you know, things get communicated, the way things get taught, the way I build your kid up. If your kid needs a foot in his ass, I'm gonna put a foot in his ass. So, you know, just, you know, come sit down and have a conversation with me. Like, let's talk some ball. Let's figure out what your son needs, what your nephew, you know, whoever the young O-lineman is that you know. Young O-lineman, pro O-lineman, college O-lineman. Anybody who wants to put their hand in the dirt and play O-line, come find me. Like, I'll get you some work. We'll get you to a place, you know, where you should be if you put in the work. So that's the only thing I'm really promoting. Shit, if you want a good interview, my boy Justin Renfro, JR, I'll send you his Instagram after this. He ain't from here, he's from Philly, but that motherfucker done had a journey. NFL, CFL, Sharks. This motherfucker done been all around the country playing ball, man. But and he's local out here now, so he'll be somebody good too. But outside of that, man, just North Florida trenches. O linemen come out. If you're a D line, you need some work. I got Coach Ronnie. If you're a linebacker, I got Terrence Plummer. He's killing it with them boys. So, man, it's like, you know, kids, at the end of the day, there's so many kids getting training. You know, this ain't no money grab. You can look at it that way, whatever. But at the end of the day, look at most of the kids that are getting recruited around Jacksonville. Majority of these kids have some type of trainer. Whether it's a quarterback, they're working with a quarterback trainer. If you're a receiver, you got somebody, you know, who's either in the neighborhood or somebody who's training receivers. But even if you're not working with us, man, go get some fucking work in. Like, go do something. Go find a hill. Go find an open field. Go get your boy and get a ball. Go get your boy and get a pad from your school. Go do something. Try to work on something as often as possible. Like, don't kill yourself to do it, but man, do something to get yourself better every day. Because at the end of the day, there's somebody else somewhere in this country who's in your position or a similar position who's trying to maximize every fucking opportunity. So at minimum, you better fucking keep up or you're gonna get surpassed. Like, you should look at it like I'm trying to be the best in my position in the fucking country, the best at my age in the country, even if it's not attainable. Fucking trick yourself into thinking I've worked harder. Like, if I'm a young old lineman, I'm tricking myself into thinking I've worked harder than every fucking old lineman that opened his fucking eyes this morning. Plain and simple. Whether you're in Cali, New York, Washington, Wyoming, you wake up this morning and if you know me, you know that I outworked you, that I busted your ass today. So get that mentality of just working. No matter what you're doing, go 100 fucking miles an hour, go full speed, go as hard as you can, try to get as strong as you can, big as you can, as smart as you can in your craft, and just keep on working to dominate every day.
Like he said, man, keep working and dominating. And we gonna keep dominating over here at Creative Moments. There you have it. Another interview with Ian Silberman, man. We are glad to have had you come through, and we wish you the best of luck in all your endeavors going in the future, my brother.
I appreciate you, my boy.
Most
Appreciate
definitely.
it.
Thank you, my man.
Yes, sir.